Hello everyone and welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Ajoe21love, here with episode number 44 of Sports Overview Topics. Very much looking forward to this episode today because I want to shed some light on, first of all, hope you guys being safe out there. So I wanted to shed some light on a couple of topics, starting with Chris Paul and Julius Randle. Two guys, Jamal Murray, after he got injured with torn ACL, is kind of drove it up Nikola Jokic's MVP stock. And he's had a really good season, as deserved. And Joel Embiid as well. Giannis, LeBron's been injured, but two guys I want to talk about a little that, in my opinion, should be getting more love as far as the MVP conversation is concerned in the NBA is Julius Randle and Chris Paul. Now, Julius Randle, he's been on the Knicks. He's been so the last few years, before coming to the Knicks, he was on the Pelicans, and the Lakers didn't do a lot, but did do well for himself. Now this year, being on the Knicks, he's probably had his best year, and once again they capped off another win last night against the Pelicans. Julius Randle, man, he deserves to be in the MVP conversation. He's averaged over 20 almost 24 points a game this season. He scored over 30 points in his last 4 games. The Knicks are in prime position for a playoff spot. They are number 6 seed in the East. They have done really well. And a lot can be attributed to Julius Randle. Now, RJ Barrett, Elijah Payton, they've done well in sport, but Julius Randle has been the driving force, really, of the Knicks this season. For that, he deserves much more love as far as the conversation is concerned. Now, the other guy I wanted to go to, Chris Paul. Chris Paul, as we know, has been a seasoned veteran and done well over the years, whether it's LA, Houston, Oklahoma City. He's done really well regardless of the destination. Now he's in Phoenix this season, pairing up with Devin Booker, and they have been the real mainstay at the number 2 seed in the West for quite some time, and well deserved. Because I'll say it before I say it again. In the bubble last year, the Suns were the only team to go undefeated in the bubble, 8-0, and thus they were just on the cusp on the outside looking in the playoffs. And then he knew they were going to get better and lo and behold, Chris Paul comes and just has added a new element to the Suns, and thus he should be rewarded for that. I mean, Devin Booker's had a hell of a season himself, but want to shed some love for both Julius Randle and Chris Paul. Now I want to get some talk about the MLB because, I mean, the MLB season has been underway for a few weeks now and is really steamed up, and some teams even have been kind of surprising to start. Now, credit, it's a long season, but I wanted to give some love to some of the teams that have been kind of on stay this season so far. I mean, the Red Sox, who are currently leading the East and the American League, are currently 11-6, have done really well, and getting back their coach, their old coach, which they had when they won the World Series against Dodgers a couple years ago. I mean, and they made some additions in the offseason. They have credit, there's still a long season to go. But the Red Sox have definitely looked like one of the best teams, as we kind of figured, in the American League. The Seattle Mariners have been consistent as well. Give some line on them. And the Angels as well. The Angels, Mike Trout, have done well this season so far. They're start off 8-5 in second place behind Seattle Mariners, who are 10-6. Both have done really well, and both are picking up this season. The New York Mets, are 7-4, currently leading the East in the National League. Pinch myself a little bit, but they have done well so far this season. Good job both, despite Trevor Bauer schooling us and leaving us for the Dodgers. So they done well. They done well this season and so far, and just glad to see. Also running the list, Cincinnati Reds, currently leading the Central Division and National League 9-6. They've done well. The Milwaukee Brewers, sitting right behind them, who are a sneaky team as well. You gotta watch out for them. They've always been competitive for the last few years, and good to see. And of course, the best division, as it looks, the West in the National League. Kind of figured with the Dodgers, Giants, and the Padres that it was kind of figured, but still, expect to be competitive the rest of the way. Now, the Dodgers currently lead 13-3, but the Giants and the Padres, who the Giants are 9-6, are behind. And the Padres are 10-7. I mean, the West, you could really see any of those three teams definitely in the World Series when it comes to those three teams. So watch out. But besides the good teams, now the Nationals so far have been a stud. They're 5-8. Of course, won the World Series 2 years ago, but still they've been a stud to start the season. The Colorado Rockies could say so as well at 4-12. And the Yankees have been confusing to start. I mean, at 5-10, but we'll have to see the rest of the way, I suppose. They've dealt with some injuries. Aaron Judge has been okay, but I mean, we'll see. Now, I want to talk about because it kind of hit. It's kind of early, but we'll see. So, kind of late on this, but want to talk about it now. Julian Edelman. So, Julian Edelman, he called it quits after being released from the Patriots last week. And, of course, the talk ensues. It's like, okay, when is he going to go to Tampa Bay? And is he a Hall of Famer? Not getting to that, but talking about his career. Julian Edelman, I mean, was a heck of a story. I mean, 7th round pick in 2009, was a quarterback, college quarterback at Kent State, and then transformed into a solid mainstay slot wide receiver who was tough, was gritty, and was one of Tom Brady's favorite targets for a long time. I mean, the cycle for how it began, you have to admire because he was drafted in 2009, and that was the last full year of Randy Moss and Walker in New England. So you kind of figured, how is this guy going to get playing time? And he did what he had to do, whether it was defense, special teams. He did all that was asked of him in New England. And over time, he discussed catches. Now, when they traded Moss in 2010, Walker, the momentum of the offense shifted from Moss and Walker to Walker, and the two tight end system with Gronk and Aaron Hernandez. And for a while that worked. And then over time, in 2013, it was very odd because when the 2012 season ended, Walker, we let him go and he went to the Broncos. And then Danny Amendola, we acquired him, who left from the Rams, and people thought, okay, we're trying to replace Walker with Amendola. And Amendola, he was solid for his time in New England, but he wasn't the guy. And in 2013, Edelman broke out and had an over 1,000-yard season and did really well. And when it kind of shifted out of a two tight end system to the slot wide receiver and Gronk when he was healthy, it was a solid system. And then he only had two other 1,000-yard seasons, 2016 and 2019. But he was always a solid mainstay piece. And always came up in crucial moments. In 2013, when the Broncos were up 24-0 at the half, and Patriots came back to win 34-31. The Patriots, those two touchdowns by Julian Edelman and that game-changing touchdown when he dove in pirouette style, that touchdown. That was kind of the beginning of the mold of Edelman. Then 2014, Super Bowl 49, catching the game-winning touchdown over Thurl Simon. Edelman, he'll be missed in Patriots uniform. 2016, Super Bowl 51, that catch will be replayed over and over and over again. And you could not replicate that even if he tried to. When caught it on the leg and the arm of Falcons defenders, that's just one in a million catch. And you can go on and on and on. Edelman, his career will definitely be remembered. Now, here's what I'll say about the Hall of Fame assumptions. I love Hines Ward. And Hines Ward, I only saw him for a couple years, but nonetheless, looking at his stats, looking at what he did for Pittsburgh, not just as a receiver, but as a blocker, he is Hall of Fame caliber. And like Edelman, a Super Bowl MVP. But definitely he should be in the Hall of Fame before Edelman does. That's simple. Well, I think Edelman will eventually get in. Definitely Hines Ward should be in before Julian Edelman. Now, the other career I want to talk about because it happened today, Alex Smith called it quits today. Called it a career. Now, after 16 seasons in the league, who last year won us all over after his leg injury, that devastating leg injury in 2018, came back last season and played his tail off and helped guide the Washington football team to a division title and the playoffs, and thus has called it a career after 16 seasons. Now, Alex Smith was the first overall pick out of Utah in 2005, over 20 picks ahead of Aaron Rodgers. Now, what I'll say is he spent time with the 49ers, Chiefs, and Washington. His time with the 49ers was a mess. I think we can all agree. He even noted that it was dysfunctional until Jim Harbaugh came in 2011. And they sort of changed the culture, and they almost went to the Super Bowl not once but twice. Now in 2011, that was a really good team. Really good 49er team. When, you had Alex Smith play arguably his best year. You had Vernon Davis, Frank Gore, Michael Crabtree, Delaney Walker. I mean, the O-line, Justin Smith, Alden Smith, Ahmad Brooks, Patrick Willis, Navarro Bowman. The list goes on. And that was a good team. And, they were the 2 seed in the NFC, won a thriller against the Saints, almost beat the Giants in a back and forth overtime stalemate. And if it wasn't for a muff punt, they would have made 2 Super Bowls in a row. Now, in 2012, they were looking to repeat as they did in 2011, except make the Super Bowl. Now, they picked up where they left off. Then all of a sudden, against the Rams, I believe, Alex Smith got concussed, and thus Colin Kaepernick slid in and took the reins of the starting job, and Harbaugh saved Kaepernick even when Smith got healthy. And they tried the rest of the way, did really well against Packers and against the Falcons in the NFC Championship after a big deficit, and gave the Ravens all they could handle in the Super Bowl. Now, in 2013, it was really intriguing because you thought, okay, if they cite the youth over the experience with Colin Kaepernick and continue to ride the wave in 2013. So Alex Smith left and went to Kansas City with Andy Reid. So it was a hell of an opportunity. Him going to a new place. Now, it was strange with the division because you also had Philip Rivers in the Chargers and Peyton Manning in his second year with the Broncos. But they got off to a hell of a start in 2013. They were 9-0. They faltered the rest of the way, went 2-5 to finish 11-5. They had a big comeback, or they had a big lead on the Colts, but that was surrendered, and they went away in the playoffs earlier than they probably should have. But that was a sign that it was a good move by Andy Reid and the Chiefs and Alex Smith to come to Kansas City, because it was new, it was refreshed, and it was a second act of Alex Smith's career. 2014, it was surrounded with iffy, and it almost felt a motivating season for the Chiefs because Eric Berry, he was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma. So they were playing for him that year, and they still did well. They still went 9-7. Justin Houston he gave Michael Strahan a scare. He scored 22 sacks, but they still did well, 9-7. That was the year no wide receiver caught a touchdown pass. Strange, but true. They just missed the playoffs, but once again, stability that Alex Smith and Andy Reid gave. 2015, another strange year. They started off 1-5, won 10 straight to make the playoffs, to go 11-5, then they shut out the Texans in the wild card and lost narrowly to the Patriots in the divisional round. But then you start to realize, okay, they're good, but they couldn't really go over the hump. Then 2016 was kind of the perfect storm, really. Kelsey broke out, became a legitimate threat again in the tight end world. They had Tyreek Hill, Jeremy Maclin. He was good, but not really as he was in Philly. So it was really a question. And then Jamal Charles came back after that ACL tear in 2015. So it was really strange, but they went 12-4, and they faced the Steelers in the division round, but they lost 18-16. And then you started thinking, okay, is this kind of their ceiling with the Chiefs? I mean, they're good, but they haven't hit over the hump. And you start thinking, okay, who is that on, Andy Reid or Alex Smith? So in 2017, they moved up, obviously, to draft Patrick Mahomes, sitting behind Alex Smith, and Alex Smith had a hell of a start to the season. Started off 5-0, was a legitimate MVP candidate, but they faltered, losing 5 of their last 6. They were 6-6. It was a 3-way tie at 6-6 with the Chiefs, Chargers, and the Raiders. So it was very much scary if you were a Chiefs fan, but they rode out the rest of the way. Won their last 4 in a row, but they surrendered a big lead against the Titans in the walk-around. So then I think that was the final nail in the coffin for Alex Smith, and as far as Chiefs are concerned. So they trade him to the Washington, and he did really well for them, starting 6-3. They seem to be on pace to win the division and make the playoffs. But then the leg injury hit, and that's when it was basically a snowball effect in Washington. Alex Smith, and then their O-line, and then the wide receivers. It was a snowball effect of injuries that happened in Washington. And then just wasn't the same. And Alex Smith, at first he thought, okay, it was just maybe a broken ankle or a broken leg. And he thought, okay, he's going to be back for next year, 2019. And then you start hearing, okay, there's been an infection, there's this, there's that. And then you start hearing that, okay, his life is in jeopardy. So you start getting worried, and you're like, okay, this is very serious. So then you hear, and I saw the documentary. He had 17 surgeries, 17, to save his leg and save his life. Now, you can't say enough about him. You can't say enough. And well, you know, he comes back last season, middle of the season, and he plays really well. He played really well before he got that calf strain, and he wasn't the same at the end of the year, but he was still a guiding force to their playoffs, or them winning the division title, and won the comeback play of the year. Simple. We all expected, and Alex Smith should be always remembered for his gutsiness, for his professionalism, whether it was being unseated by Colin Kaepernick in 2012, Mahomes. I mean, he was always a correct professional, and greatness, toughness, what he went through to come back from that injury, just played another season. Wish him good health the rest of the way. And thank you, Alex Smith, for a hell of a career. I'm not sure because of his stats. Now, perhaps because of what he went through and perhaps why him coming back, he'll probably get a reward, I would think, for the Hall of Fame. But when you look at stats, he's probably not a Hall of Famer. Still, nonetheless, great career. Did it the right way. Thank you, Alex Smith. Also, one other piece I want to touch on, Marquise Goodwin signing with the Bears. For those who don't know, he opted out last year. He was traded to the Eagles, but due to him being opted out, it rescinded the trade from the 49ers to the Eagles. So instead, he was released. Or I think he had 1 year left, and then, yeah, he was a free agent, and then he signed with the Bears. I mean, it's quality pickup for the Bears. I mean, yes, you have Allen Robinson, who's a definite number one. Darnell Mooney, he showed last year he has speed as a rookie. And now you had Marquise Goodwin. It's quality pickup, so good for the Bears. All right, so that was all I want to touch on today on the podcast. I hope you guys enjoy it. Thank you. We're a week and a half away till the draft. Can't wait. Hope you all being safe. Peace. See you Thursday. Love you guys.